All right, hey guys, welcome to the video. If you're new here, my name is Curtis, and today I just wanted to talk a little bit about my own fragrance journey. As you guys know, if you're a fragrance enthusiast, or even if you're someone who's just getting into fragrances, or if you've been into fragrances for X amount of years, you know that, on this journey, our sense of scent our nose develops, and we tend to go down different paths the longer that we're on this journey. So I mainly wanted to talk about these three fragrances and how these three fragrances open the door for new paths on my journey. So if you're curious to hear my thoughts and opinions and just a little bit about my journey, then let's go. All right, first up from the house of Hermes, we have Terday Hermes. So yeah, when I first began my fragrance journey, as with probably many of you, I started out really enjoying fresh fragrances, and I wore fresh fragrances for the longest time. I had a little bit of experience with blue fragrances, but not much, but just overall a fresh profile, kind of like almost like that shower jelly type of freshness. I really enjoyed that. It was easy to wear. I kind of associated that with being manly, and so yeah, that was kind of my fragrance of choice when I first got into fragrances. But then I remember smelling this fragrance for the first time, and I was like, wow. Number one, I don't think I really understood the note of vetiver at the time, but I knew that when I first smelled this fragrance, there was something that was really drawing me in. And later I found out, obviously, it was vetiver, and I really developed a love for the note of vetiver because of this fragrance. And before, like I said, I was always sticking to fresh fragrances. Yeah, those fragrances may have contained vetiver in them, but it was always kind of subdued, and it was in the background. Whereas this fragrance, the vetiver, definitely pushes forward quite heavily. And so this is, you would consider, kind of a fresh citrusy vetiver fragrance. A lot of people, there's that kind of bitter, slightly, I guess, earthy orange in here, combined with that vetiver. But man, I fell in love with this one from first sniff. And this is what kind of pushed me into the direction of like, oh, hey, I can wear fragrances that still smell fresh, but smell different. And so from that point on, man, you can see I definitely put a dent in this bottle, but that really kind of opened my nose to the note of vetiver. And so what this fragrance has kind of led me to, and I still love this and I still wear this all the time, it is a very classy scent, masculine. It's unisex, but I would say it definitely pushes more to the masculine side of things. But yeah, this is such a great one. But what this has led me to is Sultan Vetiver by Anie. This one is a slap of vetiver in your face. You get 4 different types of vetiver in here, and what I really love about this fragrance is it takes you through the many facets that vetiver can display, and so you get to experience every step in the transformation that the vetiver is going through. You also you get a bit of freshness in here. There's a little bit of neroli, and I think that freshness on my skin almost kind of giving a very slight soapy like quality. And then when you move into the dry down of this fragrance, you get some leather. But I think, looking back at my fragrance journey, I think if I were to have smelled this before I smelled Terday Hermes, I don't think I would have liked this one. So this one was like the gateway into vetiver for me. And now I can wear fragrances like this. Like, I absolutely love this. This is a masterpiece, in my opinion, an absolute masterpiece. This one was created by Jorge Lee. I'm a huge fan of his work. And man, this one, oh my God. This one is very classy, very elegant, professional smelling vetiver, but it is, man, it's intoxicating. I can't speak more highly about this fragrance, but yeah, I mean, this is probably my favorite vetiver fragrance now. Not probably, it is my favorite vetiver fragrance. Yeah, it's just a stunning wear from beginning to end. Absolutely love it. But yeah, thanks to Terday Hermes, I can appreciate, heavy, very intense vetiver fragrances like Sultan Vetiver. If you can, get yourself a sample of Terday Hermes by Hermes and Sultan Vetiver by Anie. All right, next up, again from the house of Anie, we have Anie. Yeah, and again, Anie's, pretty well known in the fragrance community. It is quite an intense vanilla fragrance. Now there's more to it. There's a bit of citruses in here as well, but it is quite heavy on the vanilla. But it's not necessarily like an edible smelling vanilla. It does slightly push into that gourmand territory, but I wouldn't necessarily classify it as, gourmand. But it has some elements of gourmand fragrances, but it has that very, very lovely, intoxicating vanilla in here, but it's not an edible, like I don't think, oh, I want to eat that when I smell this fragrance. But, I was someone who always kind of pushed into that, I liked wearing fresh fragrances. So, and I kind of associated like sweet smelling fragrances with being feminine. So I think that's why, especially the note of vanilla, and I think that's why I kind of steered away from those types of fragrances. But, once I got my nose on this and tried it on skin, I was like, wow. Number one, I was intrigued. I was like, oh, wow, and then I felt like, I had a connection to it. Like I felt like I could totally wear this. And so that kind of opened my mind and thinking, oh wait, I can pull off, sweet fragrances, but not cloyingly sweet and not like gourmand sweet. I was like, okay, I can do this. I can get down with this. And so, yeah, I really, really love the wearing experience of Anie. It's a great one. This one was perfumed by Cecile Zarokian. And yeah, she just does wonderful work with fragrances in general, but even more specifically vanilla fragrances, and creating vanilla fragrances that aren't edible smelling. She does a phenomenal job with that. But yeah, this one is a great one. And what this kind of led me to into my journey was to this fragrance, Insulo by Jeroboam. And so this is more of an edible, delicious vanilla fragrance. A very kind of syrupy, dark, like gooey, sticky vanilla. When you spray this on your skin, you definitely see that. Now, this juice in here is red, so you can kind of see that when you spray it on your skin. Don't spray this fragrance on a white shirt, it will ruin it. Lesson learned. But yeah, this is a gourmand vanilla. Now, honestly, I don't reach for fragrances like this all the time. I take these fragrances, these kind of gourmand leaning fragrances. This is a gourmand vanilla, 100%. Now, I reach for this one maybe once or twice a year when we're in the dead of winter, and I want to feel a bit cozy. I just want to smell delicious. This is kind of almost like a holiday fragrance for me. So I tend to reach for a fragrance like this, maybe around Christmas time, New Year's, or even Thanksgiving, I guess I would say. I guess kind of late fall. But yeah, this is a very, very delicious one. And I would have never even given a fragrance like this a shot if it weren't for fragrances like Anie, which kind of opened the doors for me in terms of, kind of slightly leaning gourmand fragrances, but, even more specifically vanilla fragrances. And so while this one is gourmand, thanks to Anie, I've been able to appreciate fragrances like this. And this is a delicious one. This is an extrait de parfum. And I don't spray a whole lot when I spray this one because it can get a bit overwhelming. So I typically do about 2 sprays and I'm good. Performance on this is really, really nice. But yeah, this is a lovely one and definitely one to check out. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Anie by Anie and Insulo by Jeroboam. Next up from the house of Frederic Malle, we have Portrait of a Lady. Yeah, so this fragrance, and I've talked about this story on the channel a few times, this is the fragrance that opened my nose to rose. And I always associated rose with being a feminine note, so I stayed away from it. Anything that had rose in it, if I looked at the notes and I was like, oh, there's rose, I can't wear this, which is just ridiculous to even think about now, and to think that I missed out on so much. But once I smelled this fragrance and I put this on skin, fell in love. And this was my gateway fragrance into rose. I realized that, oh, wait a second, men can wear rose. You know, don't shy away from the note of rose. It can come off as very, very sexy. Rose is a note that's unisex. It's right down the middle. And you know, there are dominant rose fragrances that also lean kind of masculine. I mean, look at Lyric Man by Amouage. It's a unisex rose fragrance, but in my opinion, it pushes slightly masculine. But I would have never even thought to have experienced the note of rose if it wasn't for this fragrance. This one just kind of turned the lights on for me and put me down a totally different path that, you know, I will forever be grateful for, because this fragrance, you know, it's definitely heavy on the rose. It's a spicy rose with patchouli in there. It almost kind of has like a dark kind of gothic undertone to it, which makes it work perfectly for evenings and more specifically like cooler weather. But man, this is such a gorgeous one. And thanks to this fragrance, I absolutely love fragrances also like this. This is my favorite rose fragrance. This is Rose de Taif by Paris Monte Carlo. This is the X-Straight version. But man, this one is such, I just want to smell it. This one is so good. You know, I've mentioned this on the channel before, but this is kind of like if you're lying in a tub of Taif rose petals, someone cuts open a lemon and just squeezes it on top of you. That's essentially what you get here. But it is such an intoxicating combination of citrus and rose. And the Taif rose in here just comes off so sexy. And this one shines in the spring and the summertime. This is a very jammy rose, but it's kind of a sticky, jammy rose, but it has a bit of freshness from the lemon. But this one performs so well, especially when it's warmer out. Like, it just pushes off, it radiates. And the compliments I get from this are just crazy. But yeah, I don't think I could have ever appreciated true dominant rose fragrance like this if it weren't for Portrait of a Lady. Yeah, you know, Portrait of a Lady will for always have a special will have a special place in my heart, just because it just opened up so many doors, and just, man, my fragrance journey went in all different directions. Not only for the note of rose, but I really started you know, kind of expanding and testing out different styles of fragrances. So yeah, I'll forever be thankful for Portrait of a Lady. And if you have never smelled this fragrance from the house of Paris Monte Carlo, holy smokes. If you like rose, you know, or if you're someone who's just getting into rose, you need to smell this fragrance. This one was perfumed by Luca Maffei. He's the man. This is my favorite rose fragrance of all time. I'm telling you, this one is so good. If you haven't smelled it, you're missing out. You know, give it a shot. Don't shy away from that rose, you guys. I'm telling you, stunner. This is an all-star fragrance, and this one is a masterpiece in my humble opinion. I love it. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Portrait of a Lady by Frederic Malle and Rose de Taif by Paris Monte Carlo. All right, guys, so that's all I have for you for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's content. And, you know, let me know down in the comment section, you know, tell me, I want to hear a little bit about your fragrance journey, and maybe more specifically fragrances, you know, specific fragrances that really changed the game for you and put you on a totally different path, kind of like these fragrances did for me. You know, I would really, really love to hear your stories. Well, I hope you guys are staying healthy and well, and I'll see you in the next video.